new lights. We call every war through the smoke and the fights. Macho King, Hitman, painted on the wall. Every suplex story we don't miss at all. WCW Heat with the black and red flame. Hollywood, Hogan and Sting in the frame. Austin stomps in, whole crowd shakes loose. Reigns holds the crown when the thunder gets loose. Hands up now, feel that roar. We live for the clash, we beg for more. Lock it in tight, hear that name. One shot, one fall, all out game. No holds barred, say it loud. No holds barred, bring it down. From the new world order to the bloodline. No holds barred, we draw the line. No holds barred, raise that sound. No holds barred, shake the ground. From MJF to Mercedes Moan. No holds barred, that's the way. TNA on the slate with the fire in tow. Angle in the mix and Joe on the go. Built on grit, built on pride. Every crack screen legend we keep alive. We don't sleep on errors, we don't skip the grind. Every chant, every clash, every scar we find. If the bell rings hard, then we're there in the front. One channel, one name, and we never back up. No holds barred, say it loud. No holds barred, bring the crowd. From the new world order to the bloodline. No holds barred, we draw the line. No holds barred, raise that sound. No holds barred, shake the ground. From the Macho King to Reigns tonight. No holds barred, we'll fight all night.
Oh yeah, brothers! Welcome to Monday Nitro Rewind, episode 3 here on No Holds Barred Wrestling Channel. What is up, Nitro Maniacs? I'm Bobby Melendez, joined
Jesse
by-
Gann.
Nick Voss, my brother. And I know, when I go, "What's up, brother?" Everybody, we're all friends and everything. But that's my actual younger brother, Nick. Also
The other half
known
of the
as-
Mega Powers.
There you go, brother. What's up, Nick? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I was actually just gonna say I'm so happy I'm underneath the Macho box. That's pretty cool. That's like ironic.
Yeah, right. Ain't that cool?
Yeah,
Ain't that cool? Can't beat the Macho Man, man.
Yeah, you can't beat him.
But it's been a little bit, guys, since I've done a Nitro Rewind, and this just life happens, right? But keeping up with the Miami Heat, got Giannis Antetokounmpo getting traded to Miami. The Panthers making moves. I got the Panther Father's Day sweater I got for Father's Day. So, but a lot going on there, just life in general. But happy to be back. At this time, though, I'm not alone. I brought with me the second guy wearing the awesome NWO t-shirt. If I knew, I would have found my NWO shirt. But there you go. But Nick, man, so let's introduce you to some of the folks up on here as people jump in from wherever they watch, whether that's on X, social media, and of course our No Holds Barred Wrestling channel here on YouTube. Talk about you, man, as a wrestling fan. What got you into wrestling? What do you love about wrestling? And maybe tease about what you're doing now.
Yeah, I'm a huge wrestling fan, as Bobby knows. We've been wrestling since we were kids. We had all kinds of characters and personas. Our parents were driven crazy because we were slipping mattresses out of the side window to make our wrestling ring. Super rebellious children, throwing ourselves off of sheds onto boxes and ladders, whatever we could find. And I grew up watching the same things. Me and Bobby were in the midst of the Monday Night Wars, switching channels between WWF and WCW, and we had our opinions. Bobby was a Hulk Hogan guy. I was a Macho Man guy. If it was like one of the members of the NWO fighting Sting, I chose Sting. It was really great. And growing up, I feel like I've gone through my own career. I'm a performer. I perform all over the country as Elvis Presley. We're also huge Elvis fans since we were really young too. And I got lucky enough that that's my career. And as I've been doing it for the past 9 years, once I got off the cruise ships and I started to get settled on land again, I took the opportunity to join some wrestling schools. And I've been doing that for about a year now. I've trained in Tennessee with Dangerous Daniel Jones at the Net Pro Studios out of Innovate Wrestling. Um, and then I got to go down to South Florida for one of my contracts and have a nice little brief stint with the CCW and Gangrel, who's an amazing coach over there. And I got to wrestle with Nikki Blackheart, who's Nikki Martinez now, who just made her debut on NXT. I've gotten to work with people like Christine Blaze, who's making her way up now as the CCW Women's Champion in the South. And I'm currently in Phoenix, Arizona, training at the AWF Academy. I had my very first wrestling match, at the Arizona Beer Festival a couple months ago, which I believe Bobby's spoken about sometimes in brief moments here and there. But yeah, I'm a huge wrestling fan, and I feel like I'm a reborn wrestling fan as of like the modern wrestling era. Bobby's been helping me. He's like, you gotta watch Monday Night Raw. You gotta watch what's going on. So I've been doing my homework, and I feel like I'm a bit caught up now.
Yeah, man. So, talk about us as kids, right? Very quick. And you guys are watching Nitro Rewind here on the No Holds Barred Wrestling, No Holds Barred Wrestling channel. Post War Games Fallout. We're going to chat about it. But we just want to discuss further our history, right? Like you said, we used to drive our parents crazy. Our stepfather, Ralph, our mother, we'd take the beds outside. We'd take them outside. We'd have those backyard wrestling matches. And
We were filming promos too.
We were doing all that, bro. We were filming promos. We had, we'd go to the ice cream truck and get our little, the smoke bomb. So we have the
Smoke bombs.
Yeah, man. And we cut all this type of stuff. And, I was the immortal Robert Michaels. I was the dynasty, the franchise. Nick was everything, right? I mean, Nick was his main character was Nick, but then you had Mr. Furious. Then you had Zabu.
Zabu.
So, I'll just tell you guys this here. If you love professional wrestling and you want to kind of follow Nick along here, like kind of like Batman, you take the mask off, it's Bruce Wayne. Here it's Nick. But in wrestling, if you want to follow him, go check out the Rhinestone Jesse Guerin. And sometimes we will have the Rhinestone on here, and I'll tell you, he's not as friendly or not as conversatory as Nick is. So I might have to take out some Robert Michaels to counter program the Rhinestone and do a promo battle. But that is not today. Today, we're talking about WCW Monday Nitro, episode 3. Man, I'll tell you, Nick, you were bringing up, I think yesterday you brought up to me on the phone, you're like, the way you were throwing your punches in school, in the wrestling school. The guys kind of say, hey, man, I like the way you do that. You're smacking your leg you're hitting your leg on the thing and you're tapping. Keep doing that, And I was saying the reason I think that is, and because I do it too, even older playing with my kids, but it's the type of wrestling we watched. We were WCW kids. Like, we peeked over. Yeah, but we didn't care about WWF until way later. Or not care, but we'd watch Hollywood. We'd go to Hollywood Video when we were at Dad's house, or Blockbuster in Hialeah. That's where we watched WWF. That's where we watched the old WCW. But when we were at our dad's house, we'd watch WCW pay-per-view. We'd watch Nitro and Thunder and everything else. So to me, that's my style of professional wrestling. That's what I love. I grew up. I didn't just start. A lot of these IWC, internet wrestling community guys, they started watching wrestling. That's why they love the Will Ospreys of the world, who are just talented. There's no doubt Osprey and company, they're great dudes. I'll show off. They're all great dudes and great wrestlers. But that's a different style of wrestling. This is the type of wrestling we love. It could be corny. Absolutely. That's what it's all about. But it's fun at the same time. So, Nick, turning back the clock very quick. You started watching the Nitros again. You watched this one here. We'll go detail by detail here. But, you've been keeping up with current day professional wrestling. You see the product. You're working the product. Now you go back and you watch Nitro episode 3, post-game war. You had the American males with Buff Bagwell taking on the Harlem Heat, young Booker T and Stevie Ray. You had Paul Orndorff, who was a veteran, versus Johnny B. Bad.
Mr. Wonderful.
Oh, I love that song. I have it on my
Apple. In my head. I watched it last night.
Let me tell you something. Besides me falling, almost breaking my back last night, if I was in some shape or wrestling shape, that might be my song. Mr. Wonderful, isn't he wonderful? I think that's the greatest thing. It's like
At one
Bobby
point, he got
Roode.
me. He did a good job being a heel last night because
He
when
was
I'm
good.
watching the match, because Johnny B. Bad could also be heel because he's a bit flamboyant. He can do a little that
For sure.
obnoxious kind of thing. But Paul Orndorff comes out from the very beginning with that little mirror, and all the way till until the bell rings. And even when the bell rung, he still had the mirror in his hand. And at one point, I was frustrated because I'm also getting into, like you said, the working aspect of it, and I'm like, all right, he's overdoing it. He's overdoing it. But my frustration, I kind of like stepped outside of myself. I'm like, oh, he did a good job. He made
But
me
think about
upset with
that.
him.
Like, think
You
about that.
know,
Like, as you're doing the match, you have you have the mirror and you're going, and then maybe you got the lead and you're like, and then also like the guy does a suplex, right? It does something to you. You drop the mirror, and then, finally, like you on TV, you're a fan. Oh, finally, drop the stupid mirror. And also, like as he's on the floor, maybe the guy's yelling, trying to be bad, yelling at the referee. He grabs the mirror and goes and gets back. Like that's
it's
funny.
ridiculous. Yeah.
It works,
He
But
looks like a straight up bad guy villain in one of those old 80s movies, like the Russian bodyguard that they
square
hire.
jaw,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just like I was like, oh, there's the bad guy right there.
Well, let's start this off. We're gonna get more into Paul Orndorff and Ric Flair taking on Brian Pillman. But
Correct.
first off, starts off. This is in Tennessee. This is Nitro episode 3, Johnson City,
Johnson
September
City.
18th.
This is where Ric Flair loses. I don't know if you know this. This is where he loses his black and white robe in
Oh, is
Johnson
it? He
City.
wore it for
He
this
had
episode.
he had a crazy night. He had some crazy night, and he woke. That is considered the
Really? I didn't know
Lamborghini.
this was the night.
That's the Lamborghini of all.
Yes, it
The
is.
Lamborghini of all Ric
Flair
Flair
robes.
robes. Yeah, and I don't know if they found it. I think it's still something that like to this day is still gone. It's like the holy grail of
That's
Ric Flair
crazy.
robes.
Somebody
Yeah.
has it in their basement or their attic somewhere, and they're not letting it go.
Somebody. I know, it's awful.
It's terrible. It's probably somebody, it might be whoever he was with. But anyway, Johnson City, Tennessee, September 18th, 95. Starts off, of course, this is post War Games. War Games, Hogan's team did beat the Dungeon or Legion of Doom, but
Love the camouflage
Dungeon
pants.
of Doom, Dungeon of Doom with the Taxmaster, but not without repercussions. Hulk Hogan gets attacked by the giant Paul White, as we know later, the Big Show, but this is young Paul White, who's introduced as
Who's super
of,
over the top, which I just spoke to you about before we started this podcast. Very. And I was watching the episode last night. I'm like, wow, he doesn't talk like that later on. I'm like, how exhausting,
Well, that was the thing, right? I mean, this is where you could tell, like we're Josh Kimmel and I on the WrestleMania Rewind series. It's funny how you see the old days and it's very over the top, the characters, that's how you sold your character. And
right.
now as
Taskmaster,
you get into,
super over the top, like
right. And so and as we get closer to what eventually we know, the Nitro Wars and the NWO, you'll start to see that the fall off. But the Giant is introduced, looks great, has a great look. He's huge. He's in shape. He like you said, he's over the top. I'm going to kill Hogan. Andre the Giant's long lost son. That's how they're introducing him as. And I remember when we were kids, Nick, we thought that. We were like, that's Andre's son. We know later it's not.
Everybody was convinced. Yeah.
So, but they played into that backstory really well. They had the ambulance. Hogan's dead. Hogan got destroyed. He basically broke Hogan's neck.
Hogan's neck. Which I saw. Which later on, I think someone did to Seth Rollins, and everybody complained about that. That move, like online. That was a crazy move.
But I love how Hogan sells so good in regard to that. Like he goes in and he's flapping like a dead fish in the air.
He's twitching.
It's like Hogan's dead. He's dead, bro. But
he died.
So he died. So they played into that. We're gonna get news later on Hulk Hogan. We have commentaries: Eric Bischoff, Steve Mongo McMichael, and Bobby the Brain Heenan. And again, right now we're at WrestleMania Rewind. Me and Josh Kimmel. We just finished 11. We've done 10, 11, and 10, 11 had the last 3 WrestleManias. The commentary wasn't good. WrestleMania 9 was McMahon. No, it was JR, Macho, and Bobby Heenan. Didn't work. The next one was McMahon and Jerry the King, and then 11 was Jerry King and McMahon. Not great. Gorilla Monsoon, Bobby Heenan, unbelievable. Love them. Bobby Heenan is just so freaking good and natural on the mic. I love listening to him talk. Bischoff's not bad. Bischoff's a good commentator. Actually, how he started off. so him and with Steve Mongo McMichael, who we, of course he starts to wrestle. He's with the Horsemen later. He's funny with his little chihuahua, but there's
Listen, I was just gonna bring up that poor dog. That dog is petrified. He's shaking. It's like 3 or 4 episodes I've been watching of Nitro, like up to this episode. And I see the dog shaking with the hat on, and I'm like, poor baby, that poor dog.
Bringing him out there. So those are your guys. This Nitro Arena, we get more of the classic look of Nitro compared to what we saw last time. And from of course, Mall of America, which was really cool. Nitro 2 had that classic look, and this one has a classic look to it. But we start off with the American males. They're supposed to face another team. It's Marcus Bagwell, who we know as Buff Bagwell, and with Scotty Riggs, and they're supposed to take on someone else. And I don't have it in my note here. I'm trying to remember who it was, but either way, they're waiting. This is not supposed to be a title match. But all of a sudden, here comes the Harlem Heat. And my God, isn't it so cool to see Booker T, the
and
great
Stevie
Booker,
Ray,
and Stevie Ray? Like, these are guys. That's like
and wait, who did they beat up in the beginning? Who was it that they beat up in the beginning?
That's what I was trying to figure out. Yeah, they beat up another group so they could be in this match, and they challenged Bagwell and Scotty Riggs, the American males, to a tag title match because they won based on in War Games in the pay-per-view fall brawl. They won by interference or distraction by Sensational Sherry and Colonel Parker. Well, so they're like, oh, we're going to challenge the American males. The American males are young and, like, oh, shoot. All right. First off, Marcus Bagwell was very highly thought of by the WCW management. This was a guy that they thought when, and he has the look. They're like, this.
Oh, he's got a great look. He's got a great look. Yeah.
Even WWF later on, when he came in by the transition, when they bought WCW, they were like, Buff Bagwell could be one of our future guys.
You know who reminds me of Buff Bagwell? Buff Bagwell, watching Buff Bagwell in like a lot last night after watching this match and earlier today, reminds me of Austin Theory. Austin Theory reminds me of Buff Bagwell. It's like a good modern comparison,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy that had
maybe I think Buff Bagwell might be a little bit better on the microphone than Austin Theory was, but
Bagwell was really good on the microphone. But that's why, again, they were high on him here, and they were high on him when the WCW got bought out by WWF later.
If it wasn't for that accident that he had where he lost his legs for a while, and now it's crazy. He's on his 2 feet again after years, which was a result of DDP yoga.
Well, DDP is DDP, man. Buff Bagwell. There's a great series on the Dark Side of the Ring about Buff Bagwell, but it's like, let me see here. Did he just get amputated? Who am I thinking about?
Let me plug in my charger here real quick. 1 second. Don't want to have any battery interferences. Yeah. So,
he lost. Yeah, they amputated his right leg. That was recent. I remember last year. But anyway, it's just crazy to think about that. But anyway, we start to show off Nitro match wise with the open challenge from Harlem Heat to the American males. Match starts off. I mean, my gosh, the difference. I love the compliment of Stevie Ray and Booker T. Booker T.
That's what I was going to say. Booker T is so awesome. Booker T is just unbelievable.
Then you got the powerhouse. You got Stevie Ray. I mean, who's just that you could tell like every strike is going to hurt. He's going to ground and pound your ass. So they get off and not a bad match. Not a bad match, I don't think. But here's Sensational Sherry, who is one of the greatest wrestler managers, outside, one of the greatest women in professional wrestling history. I mean, in the WrestleMania series, she's an MVP. She doesn't do a lot. She's always on the outside, but she knows how to sell her guy. She did it with the Macho King. She's
one of the best valets of all time.
100%. But she's also very good in the ring. She's a former champion. She made Miss Elizabeth look really good. Mm-hmm. So it's just really cool to see Sensational Sherry. I'm a huge fan of hers. But they're working the match. They're doing well up until the point. Here comes Colonel Robert. Is it Robert Parker? Yeah.
Colonel Parker.
Yeah. Here he comes. He comes out. They have kind of like a love thing going on, him and Sensational Sherry, where that distracts the Harlem Heat enough where the American males get the distraction, take advantage of it, roll them up. 1, 2, 3. We have new WCW tag team champions, the American males, with Booker T and Steve Ray going, what the hell just happened? So we got a title change to start the show. Not a bad way to start the show. Not a bad way to implement. Hey, these are new guys. These are like WCW did so well with the tag division with some of these guys. But anyway, Nick, the match itself, what did you think of this match? What did you think of the American Males and the Harlem Heat?
Watching the difference, it was, I think it was a really good way to have the American Males, like the rollover pin, the sneaky way, because honestly, the Harlem Heat were bringing heat the entire match. Like you're saying, Stevie Ray Vaughan was doing the ground and pound stuff, and one thing that just really caught my attention was just, I mean, because I hadn't watched Booker T, like young Booker T, in a long time. Did I lose you? Oh, there you are.
No, I'm
I'm
here.
sorry, you were frozen for a second. I didn't
No,
even know. I was like,
I'm
he's so like still like a statue. Anyway, Booker T's like lightning fast agility. He always did that, like the over the head kicks, and I forget the name of these moves that he would do with these side kicks, and is it bookend? Is that what it is? One of them is like bookend.
Yep.
Um, but just like, I was just so impressed, and I was sitting there watching, and I was like, that's exactly why, like, Booker T went over and became the legend that he became. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like watching an early boy band. Like, what is it? Wham, for example. There was going to be one member that stuck out. Same thing with like NSYNC and all these, like, NSYNC, Justin's the guy. You know what I mean? But like, had been, I know Stevie Ray. I did some research on where his career went, um, but Booker T really, really just kind of like stuck out to me the whole match.
Let's see here. No, Booker T always, man. I mean, because we know what he is and what he becomes. I'm just sending this tweet out here for us. There we go. I just thought it was really cool to see and kind of see where these guys eventually will go. The next one here is
It was only 4 minutes, that match.
no, yeah, it's only, well, again, the show
That's what I'm
itself is
saying. The
less than
show
an
itself
hour.
was 44 minutes. I was kind of impressed with that, and I kind of like that, to be honest.
Yes.
In comparison to some of the newer, sometimes it takes so long for things to get rolling on Netflix Raw. You know what I'm saying? And I'm watching the episodes, and it's okay. Like, I get it. There's time that's being filled, and that's the same thing they teach us in the wrestling school. Like, between punches, it's timing. You got to give your opponent the amount of time to sell the strike that you just landed. You know what I'm saying? And then also, when the audience is involved, you gotta, you can also slow things down by making faces to them while your opponent's still recovering, and then going back to the opponent. So I get that, but something about that Crash TV style that Eric Bischoff and the Nitro team were doing, in the beginning, and then later on bringing on Vince Russo when they started really competing and taking the ratings from WWF. Um, that's just one thing I liked. I mean, but it was like I said, the match was so quick. It was 4 minutes, and I was like actually impressed because I got everything I needed from it. You know what I'm saying? The intensity, the drama, you know what I mean? Because like, Colonel Parker comes out, takes Sherry. They do the rewind, the replay. You see the Stevie Ray and Booker T's face because they're literally in the middle of putting down that team. The American Males. They're doing a great job taking them out, and then boom, they take the win. And I just thought it was a great. I just thought it was a great overall way to kind of like produce that match and that story.
Yeah, I love the how short, not short, but I love how they use the time. Like we had the matches, they're quick. It's 45 minutes. They still tell the story. We know as time goes on, they get the advertisers, their commercials. They go longer and longer, 2-hour show. Which again, as long as the matches and the stories are good, nobody cares. We love it. We want more of it. But this is really kind of refreshing to see. It's like, hey, here are the matches. Here are the stories. Let's move forward. Now that also kills you because, like that whole, we'll get into it when Macho came out and had a kind of confrontation with Luger. We don't get to see the finale of that. They have to go, we'll be right back. We're cutting to it. And it shows what happened to Hogan and his car. Because bike.
It's all live. They're always saying it like, they're like, just a minute ago, security had to break them up. And then I was like, oh, we got to just hear about it. We didn't get to actually see it,
Yeah. You flipped over there. Do you see yourself?
I don't even know how that happened. My phone is in the right way.
We're live. We're live, folks. We're live.
We're live. This is like WCW. We're live.
We're live. Things happen live. Now, the next contest, we were talking about it. Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff taking on Johnny B. Bad.
Which is also is Mike Marrow, isn't that Mike
Mark
Marrow too?
Mark Marrow. Yeah,
I'm sorry,
former, ex-husband, of course, of Sable later on. So that's what you kind of think of him as. But I'm gonna be honest. Before I started watching the Nitros, and I watched him a little before this, but I always thought of him as Mark. I didn't really think. I knew he was a wrestler. Didn't think much of him. I always knew him as Sable's ex-husband, who Brock Lesnar. She left for Brock Lesnar. But watching him, and you'll see more of these matches, he was actually one of the guys they were high on. I mean, they pushed this guy, and he was actually not bad at the ring. He was fun. Johnny B. Bad, the fans liked him.
Johnny B. Bad is pretty much an exaggerated wrestling version of Little Richard, like the older Little Richard. Like kind of flamboyant, the makeup. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The hair.
Well, I mean,
so
the
funny.
fans loved him. He had the gun, the gun throwing stuff out, and he had just earned himself an opportunity at the United States title, so they were pushing him pretty big, which was surprising. That he lost this match to Paul Orndorff. Now, Paul Orndorff obviously starred in WrestleMania 1 in the tag match with Piper and Hogan and Mr. T on the top of the world at one point. Here, I think at this time, he was an agent for the WCW, but here he was also a talent. And I have to say, man, like, he's another guy, like, I know he was a big deal, right? I knew what he did. He has a great physique, but like, he wasn't really somebody I thought much of. But watching this, the entrance, the character work, what he was able to do is like, I could see this guy being an ultimate prick where I'm like, I want to watch him get his ass kicked. He was so good. The song was amazing. I love that entrance song. I just love it, man. He comes out. It's a total sell job. Did great. It's like Glorious with Bobby Roode. I don't know if you ever heard that one. Glorious.
I don't think I've heard that one. Yeah.
Bobby Roode, Robert Roode from WWE when he went to WWE from TNA. Glorious. That's another song. Like, those are the songs like I would come out to. Mr. Wonderful or Glorious, or Evolution, but that's the one there. But love that. Not bad, not a bad match. I would say it was just surprising that Orndorff was the one who got over and not Johnny B. Bad, because they were pushing Bad, and he just got himself a title shot for the United States Championship, which that was one of the most beautiful belts in the whole world, in professional wrestling.
Yep.
But you would think that he would, they would have him win to get pushed, but they didn't. I think DDP may have won the championship the night before, or was it the TV championship? I think it was this one, but we didn't get to see
DDP
Diamond
Dallas. Who did DDP beat for it? It was
at War Games, right? Fall Brawl.
Yeah, I forget this guy's name. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I just had it in the back of my.
Either way, Johnny B. Bad has an opportunity for the United States title, but he loses here. I mean, you brought up a little bit about Paul Orndorff, but talk about the two guys, the characters, and the way they work this match. What did you think?
Honestly, it's like I said, it's another quick match that in this segment. But one thing that when I was watching it that I really like the way they work the outside. Of course, obviously, one of my favorite things is Johnny B. Bad walking into the ring with that gun thing. The first thing that he does is like, well, Mr. Wonderful's looking at the mirror. He kind of just like, I don't know if he puts it in his ear or he shoots whatever it is at him. But then Paul Orndorff doesn't even acknowledge him. He like runs out of the ring with the mirror and he's fixing the hair that he believes
he runs out.
Up,
Which I
just thought was so funny. But I do love one thing that really stuck out, and I like I said, I love intensity sometimes. Sometimes I feel like certain guys sell that well. I was just bashing Japanese strong style wrestling last night, watching certain things. I think it was with the Zack Ryder, Brian Dancel thing. That's a whole other thing. But anyway, I saw this is the kind of physical stuff that I think sells well in the old days. Like, you didn't really need to, actually physically inflict pain on someone to show violence. You know what I mean? Like, or to like stage out. Paul Orndorff was doing that with his face alone at one point because Johnny B. Bad was in the corner on the lower rope, and Paul Orndorff just has him in the corner and he's doing the kicks. And at one moment I looked at him and I'm just like, he really is not wonderful. Like, he's not wonderful. Like, he's not as beautiful as he sees himself in the mirror. In a way, I was just looking at him. I was like, and that's when I noticed. I was like, oh, he's like the perfect '80s bad guy villain. He just had that whole look to him and everything. And I was just like, one thing that stuck out was that, how upset Mr. Wonderful could get when he's not focused on himself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought the match as a whole was okay. It wasn't like I believe the character work stuck out the most to me. You know what I mean? The character work between both of them, and I think that sometimes you put two guys together and you either get like some sort of chemistry that allows them to further see each other down the road. This was just kind of like a meet and greet between two different characters, but I was entertained by that. You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah. That's one thing I love about those guys, and it's just the characters and how that sells the crowd. Like, not the
Right.
in-ring stuff, but even though Mark Marrow, Johnny B. Bad, is not bad in the ring. Again, the night continues. We keep getting kind of the talk about, Hogan, is he okay? The fallout of War Games, Luger. It's really centered about Randy Savage's distrust of Lex Luger. He gets into the ring. He's interviewing with
Mean Gene Okerlund.
the late great Mean Gene, and he cuts such a great promo. Macho is one of the greatest in-ring mic guys. First off, he says, nobody's tougher than Hulk Hogan. But he goes, I will tell you.
One thing they don't do, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but they don't do that as much anymore, where they had like their number one interviewer in the middle of the ring with the guy, because I believe that helped Macho Man create a good promo, is having Mean Gene Okerlund asking the right questions to him.
Well, because it's true, a lot of times now it's just about, hey, go in the ring, cut a promo.
Yeah,
they don't have that one
yourself.
guy.
Yeah.
They don't have that one guy. And sometimes some guys can cut a really good promo, right? You got nowadays, right? You got the CM Punks of the world. Like, they don't need a guy to bounce their thing. But even Macho could cut a good promo. Hogan was a good promo. But it always helps to have that Mean Gene guy there who can also the fans love. But when Macho goes, well, he goes, because when Savage says, Hogan, just a little bit of criticism, brother, you're a bad judge of character, Lex Luger, and and he's going.
It's a pretty good Macho impression, by the way. You did pretty good.
Thank you. No, but he goes. Mean Gene comes in and goes, wait a minute. I talked to several wrestlers in the back, and they were saying that they saw what he did when he hit you was by mistake. He goes, well, who did you talk to? Tell me. He comes right back. He goes, who did you talk to? Who did you talk to?
Yeah.
He goes, Jimmy Hart. Talked to Sting. His friends, you see like BG kind of go, like, he's like, oh shit, he's like,
he caught him.
And then here comes Luger. Look, no hate on Lex Luger, right?
What's so funny is at the time, personally, they are dealing with their own personal issues, Luger and Macho.
Yeah,
and the jealousy comment that Luger throws at him when he gets in the ring, you're jealous.
So when Luger comes in, Luger runs in the ring, and of course they're trying to push him. And he doesn't get big until after. Like, I never was into Lex Luger at that stage. He's very awkward on the mic. He's awkward. He has a great physique. He can put on a decent match. But
he looks like the bad guy from Ghostbusters, Vigo.
Oh yeah, this part
in the painting.
And then, but he comes in and he starts to kind of cut a promo on Macho. But then you see he stops for a second. It's kind of like, and Macho kind of does what John Cena did to Roman Reigns. Like, hey, this is where the big boys play. He goes, well, what are you gonna say? Say it. It's like, he's like, keep going. Like, this is you. You got the time. So that's what he goes. That's when he threw the jealousy thing. Either way, good back and forth. Macho's so good telling a story on the mic, and even in the ring, like in a story, like he knows how to tell a story. That's how great Macho Man is.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mean Gene goes, oh, hey, we got to go to commercial break. Oh, so they cut the commercial. We don't get to see the aftermath.
Them beating each other up. Yeah.
All we know is that Macho Man does not trust Luger. He does not trust Sting because Sting's friends with Luger's, and nobody trusts Jimmy Hart, which they shouldn't. I've said this on WrestleMania. I said this here. Hogan went heel a long time ago because Jimmy Hart is not a babyface. I love Jimmy Hart in real life.
Yeah.
He's a great and sweet guy. But as a wrestling, he's not a babyface. Never been a babyface. Dude's a heel. He's been a heel manager his whole life. He's still a heel manager here. But that's not that. Anyway, cuts the commercial break. Now we get to the main event in terms of match. We get Ric Flair.
Flying Brian.
Before Flying Brian and Ric Flair, we get a video package of what you see here on top of me is Hogan coming on the motorcycle with Mean Gene on the beach, and they're chatting it up.
So funny.
And here comes the giant in a Dungeon of Doom truck, monster truck, and just destroys Hogan's motorcycle. What are you doing? Oh! It says here. Let's go ahead and keep throwing fuel in the fire of this feud. It's so Sam silly but funny at the same time. You take it. It's what it was back then. However, we get the main event. What many consider the greatest of all time in Nature Boy Ric Flair, who's in his prime and who again wearing that beautiful black robe. Nick just said that was this is the show. After the show, Flair loses this robe and can never be found. But he's wearing the black robe. He takes on Flying Brian Pillman. This is because Pillman, right now there's a feud between Flair and Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson, the Four Horsemen are kind of split up. Arn Anderson's one of my favorite wrestlers. Like, there are guys like, oh, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, those are my favorite. Then there's guys like in the ring who are like, oh, like Arn Anderson, Mr. Perfect.
The Four Horsemen were kind of like the early evolution. You know what I mean? Like
they were evolution. They were. That's what evolution was modeled after.
Yeah.
But you have this split right now between Flair and Arn Anderson. So Brian Pillman helped Anderson beat Flair. So Flair's like, you. This was a one-on-one. This was a family disagreement. You brought outside people in here. Now we got a real problem. So Flair takes on Brian Pillman. It's obvious the difference between the two. Flair's is 40-something years old here.
Yeah.
Still, it's Ric Flair, right? You knew what you're getting out of Ric Flair.
Still looks great, you know. And I love, one of my favorite things about Flair, and it's something that I've been working on in the school, and it's like my favorite thing to do is the shoot off into the corner where he rolls over the corner and out, and then it's literally like Brian Pillman then jumps off the line, the back shoots off the rope to do a clothesline. He ducks and then hits him with a clothesline on the side of the apron. It's like my favorite thing. So entertaining.
That just tells you the chemistry those two had, but also what Brian Pillman, like, everybody thinks of, when they think of Brian Pillman, they think of the psycho guy in WWF, right? He was went through a tough time. That's what you think. The whole TV footage. Go watch Flying Brian Pillman. This
is prior to that leg injury, am I correct?
Yes, it is.
This is he's still technically coming off of, he's not loose cannon yet.
He's Flying Brian Pillman.
Yeah. He's Flying Brian, and this is like coming off of, like, what was it, the Hollywood Blondes back in the day? So he's still got that vibe going on, right? Cool.
Yeah. So, like, this is like, you see why, like, and he's put in a package or in a feud. He's through in this feud with the greatest of all time, Ric Flair, and Arn Anderson, another great. So that tells you what they thought of him. And he has a really decent match. Like, you could tell the difference between the two. You could tell, like, Flying is faster than Flair, and what.
The chops they were throwing at each other were insane.
But it was personal. It felt personal, but also it was like, you can see Ric Flair could work with anybody. And Pillman knew how to work with someone like that. So loved it. I loved that was the main event. Flair actually defeats him with the figure four.
Which was an awesome. I love the ending, and it was very clean. Like, it's not like someone cheated or anything. And I love submission endings. Like, they don't do them as much anymore.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, it was a legitimate tap out. And Flair did. And they go, did he tap? Did he tap? He tapped. Holy crap, he tapped out. Flair got him.
Yeah.
And Flair's like, you know what? Now it's you and me, Arn. And so that's what's coming up. We didn't get to see DDP. We didn't get to see Sting in this episode, but we know we're gonna get a lot of them later on. Surfer Sting.
Right.
Let's see here. Pull this up. Make sure I'm not missing anything. I will say for me, this was short, but an entertaining Nitro coming out of War Games. I think they could. I think the main event was fine. I think they should have kind of led to, or maybe had Sting come out to help with the promo work with Lex Luger, but it felt good. Didn't see Hogan. You saw some clips of Hogan. You can tell where they're still trying to figure things out, how to put the right stuff in for the story.
It's so true, because this is WCW before they really start getting great and taking the ratings. You know what I mean? But they're figuring that out. They've got all that stuff going on, and I think I don't know when they hire Vince Russo.
No, it's way later. Russo killed. Yeah, Russo
way later. Yeah, right. It's way later. But the decision
WWE starts falling back down. Yeah,
actually, it's the worst. It's the
worst time. Yeah.
But yeah, this is like them figuring it out, and I loved it. And I kind of wish I can go. I might go back later myself and watch the Fall Brawl. Actually, just because I'm a huge fan of the camouflage. That's one of my favorite episodes.
I want to shout out Justin Toner. I didn't see you in there, my man. Appreciate Justin Toner tuning in. He says, "Hey Bobby, how's it going? Man, the memories of Nitro back in the day. I love Mr. Wonderful. Yeah, Macho Man, one of the best promo guys ever. Absolutely." Justin Toner, co-host of the Ruckus Wrestling Podcast on Ruckus Sports Network. Appreciate him jumping in here. He'll be on our No Holds Barred Wrestling channel as a guest sometimes, but he's been a guest on FTSN. So I appreciate Justin. Justin, this is my brother Nick, my actual brother Nick. He's training to be a wrestler up in Arizona right now. The Rhinestone, Jesse Guerin, that's who that is.
The Rhinestone, baby.
The rhinestone. I'm the
I'm
rhinestone. I
just
grew
playing
up.
around. No, I don't even know how. It's such an interesting thing to try to figure out what your thing is, and it comes natural. I feel like I find it more when I'm in the ring than when I do actually like trying to just before the, you know what I'm saying? I find that persona more in the ring. So I'm very excited to kind of take what I'm building and put it in the ring and then be able to start cutting promos the way that I'd like to.
Yeah, Justin says,
Thank
"Hi
you,
Nick,
Justin.
good luck, man." He's saying good luck to you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, if you do well, Justin will be talking about you, man. He does good stuff on his Ruckus Wrestling channel, on his Ruckus
Oh, really
Wrestling
cool.
podcast. Yeah, he'll do. Yeah. That Jesse Gann's a real pain in the ass. I don't like him, dude. He can't. No, I'm just fine. But anyway,
Well, yeah.
no, you're good. But you want to cut a promo? Nick's like, I'm about to cut a promo on this motherfucker.
No, I'm not.
No, I'm good. But no, this was a lot of fun. We got Nitro episode 4 coming up. We'll see the fallout of this. Arn Anderson versus Flair. Hogan coming back, probably addressing the Dungeon of Doom. The Dungeon of Doom, I just want to say, I like the concept. I get it. It's children like, right? Like, now, if it happened now, you're like, oh, this is terrible. This is a terrible gimmick. But back then, that's what it was. Wrestling was still characters. And I'm going to tell you this. I want to say this. I look at the Macho Man and think about, like, Vince he did it twice. He did it when he bought WCW, he killed the competition and killed wrestling for a little while. But he also, he shot himself in the foot when he let Hogan and Macho go, and he's like, they're too old. Like, we're going to move on. Like, he wanted Macho Man to be a commentator. He was ready to move on from Hogan. Hogan goes to WCW. Macho Man follows. Other guys follow. And Macho's there to prove, like, I'm not retiring anytime soon. I still got it. And these early episodes, and what we'll see as we continue this, is that he's absolutely right. Like, the Macho Man and Hogan and their presence. And then what throws him over the top is another mistake by Vince McMahon, is letting Kevin Nash, Diesel, and Scott Hall Racer Ramon leave the WWF, because they go to WWF, they go to WCW. They're the outsiders. They go, hey, they talk like the wrestlers. They don't say I'm Diesel and Razor Ramon. They just say where we're from and you know why we're here. And that creates the greatest storyline in professional wrestling. The greatest.
It makes everything real. It starts becoming real.
Show that shirt, Nick. Show that shirt. The greatest faction in professional wrestling. The New World Order with Hulk Hogan, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash, which puts WWE on a pedestal that puts WWE below, below everything. They have to start digging out, and they go, oh God, we need to go find somebody. They find, of course, Steve Austin, and of course that's when the tides turned and we get to see the real war. But anyway, I cannot wait. I love doing this show. I love doing shows in general. FTSN's doing really good, but this is a hobby thing and this is really fun. So if you love professional wrestling, if you love looking back like at Nitro, or you want current events like Dynamite Rerun, we had Josh Kimmel on just an hour earlier today talking about AEW Dynamite, which I will say, Justin, you're there still. I hope you're still there. You're going to be proud of me. I actually watched most of Forbidden Door. I did. AEW. I don't do that. I did. It was fun. I love the main event, the circular cage. Thought that was a lot of fun.
That looked good.
John Moxley's match I thought was really good. So yes, I did. I knew you'd be proud of me, my man. I was like, I'm gonna go watch it. But so I did do that. So anyway, you're gonna see a lot of cool stuff here on the No Holds Barred Wrestling channel, and we're gonna get some guys up on here. Nick, the Rhinestone, will join us sometimes. So got a lot of great stuff. Nick, any final thoughts for wrap this one up?
Final thoughts. I don't know. I was thinking about some things. I didn't get to be here for episode 2. One of my favorite things, going back to Legion of Doom, was the ending of that Macho Man match. At the end, where they come in to interfere and they fall on top of is Norton, right? And Norton's legs are trapped underneath. Macho hits him with the elbow. About that. Yep. Just going back to that really quick, and I also jumped to a WWF Royal Rumble. I forget which Royal Rumble it was. It was very awful, really awfully done. But the ending is Yokozuna and Macho Man, and Macho hits the elbow and instinctively goes into a pin because that's what he does during his matches, and it's so Macho Man to do that. And Yokozuna just throws him off and throws him out of the ring and eliminates him after having like the greatest shine and comeback to almost beat Yokozuna. To me, it's like he's the best to ever do it. So those are my final thoughts. Macho Man, best to ever do it. Oh yeah, love him.
Well, I'm gonna say this is what I'm gonna say very quick. in regards of like the Macho Man, I told this to you last night on the phone, Nick. You got to go watch WrestleMania 8, Flair versus Savage, the world title on the line. I mean, one of the greatest matches in WrestleMania history. Josh and I, like, it was like, you know, we knew they wrestled, we knew it was good, but it's like you go back and you watch, go, holy crap, this was great. This was not bad.
Yeah.
This wasn't a good match. This was a great match. But Macho was great. Professional wrestling is great. Old school wrestling is amazing. But if you love professional wrestling, old school, new school, can't find anything better here.
Another final thought.
Channel.
If there's only one other final thought from the old school to the new school, this is something I just talked about yesterday. You know, you get a lot of these thigh slappers now. The Usos are the big exception in WWE doing the super kicks, which is just like way overdone. And then back in the day, you had guys like Macho Man who were doing those timed out punches and using the foot to kind of get the sound or allowing that actual thump sound. You know what I mean? So like you didn't need leg slaps and super devastating things to make things look as vicious as Mr. Wonderful did as the episode we just watched. While he had Johnny Bad kicking him in the corner. So there's just some things I really like to take from old school. I do appreciate a lot of the new school stuff, but sometimes like I feel like there's got to be a balance between the two, and I feel like sometimes wrestling finds its way back to that balance. You know, the WWE I think does a really good job of keeping that balance. You know,
for sure.
That's why they're the apex of the entire business. I'm sorry, WWE.
Well, there you go, guys. Hey, appreciate you all tuning in. Make sure you elbow drop that like and subscribe button. That's Nick. I was gonna say Nick, but I was say probably maybe his stage name, Nick Voss. I'm Bobby Melendez. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Take it easy.